るちょっと寄り道していこうかなんて気まぐれな大人たちの気まぐれな遊び方に惑わされて進むの忘れてた No way 誰かが知らんと気を抜いてつけてくるから今ここで追いつかれたら弾かれちゃいそうだ Oh パワーを絞り出せ誰かのままの欲望でまだ甘くはない青い果実でしょう瞳を静かに閉じ小さな種を握って今走り出せば届くはずこの想い
頭に来るぜ戦いが大好きで優しいサイヤ人なんてよ頑張れカカロットお前がナンバーワンだ
今日からは今日からの明日からは明日からの新しいストーリー刻めばいいでしょう Can't please give some back to me Don't stop cause I've been chasing around 風を抜き去って届かせるこの想い戦いから逃げてたマジでさよならさまだ甘くはない青い果実でしょ瞳を静かに閉じ小さな種を握って今走り出せば届くはずこの想い
俺はサイヤの誇りを持った囚人だ
伸ばせたい青い果実でしょ Don't stop cause I've been chasing around 風を抜き去って届かせるこの想いしみして自然にブレーキがかかるちょっと寄り道していこうかなんて気まぐれな大人たちの気まぐれな遊び方に惑わされて進むの忘れてた No way 誰かが知らんと気を抜いてつけてくるから今ここで追いつかれたら弾かれちゃいそうだ Oh パワーを絞り出せ誰かのままの欲望でまだ甘くはない青い果実でしょ
Hey, FKL, thank you for joining. Okay, music should be on par, on point. So let's see, join us little sis or not. Hear me? All loud, clear, fine and dandy on all that shizen. Dyson. Alright. So, continuation of a certain destruction came into my life. The legend of the god destruction. Hey, Jason, thank you for joining. Lonely Nixie. So, chapter 8, we are now at. Only there's just 19. Yep, 3 more to go after this, and it's all completed, ironically. Number 11. Okay. So, chapter 8, Vegeta and the Power of Destruction. After the unexpected meeting at the King of O's palace, Beerus, who was greatly insulted by the other gods, decides to support Vegeta's goal of surpassing all deities. Despite Vegeta's uncertainty about his decision to become Beerus' successor to his position, and his doubts about learning the powers of destruction, Beerus was determined that he will make an unstoppable force from the Saiyan Prince. Vegeta's training with Beerus to learn the power of destruction begins in the 8th part, Vegeta's special backstory, telling the story of Vegeta's mortal life and how he becomes the god of destruction. See the end of the chapter for notes. Let's commence. It's surprising to see you change your mind about supporting Vegeta's goals. We said this to Beerus several hours later after they left Vegeta in his room. It was already late in the evening and it was a tiring day for the Saiyan, so they told Vegeta to take his rest. After Whis healed the injuries he got from his fierce battle with Toppo, Vegeta went to bed and was fast asleep as soon as he lied down. And it was a good thing, because starting the next morning, Beerus was looking forward to training him on how to use the powers of destruction. They took a walk out together outside the castle to have a conversation about Vegeta, overlooking the lonely, pale grey scenery before them. Don't get the wrong idea, Whis. I was just annoyed at the audacity of the others to insult me like that. I cannot stand them mocking me or anyone from my universe. Beerus laughed. I believe that Vegeta felt the same way too. He suddenly got overprotective of you somehow, he said. Yeah, Beerus agreed, remembering how Vegeta stood up against the others to defend both of their honors. I think he's finally beginning to like you after you defended his honor when the other god consulted him. I'm sure that after what happened in the King of O's palace, Vegeta's going to be more determined than ever to make his goal a reality. I can somehow see your Genkyo's prophecy unfold. Did the Oracle Fish really dream about that? Beerus asked, remembering the thoughts Whis shared with the King of O, in which all the other gods reacted with such disbelief. Yes, Whis answered. Beerus grunted. Ugh. I know I've seen the potential in him when he first became Super Saiyan. Sure, you noticed it back then during our sparring sessions. After the years I spent training Vegeta, I've concluded that the path I was trying to teach him doesn't suit him and his personality at all. He just couldn't let go of his egotistic views and his principle. His fierce battle with Toppo proved to us that he really didn't want to do so. While I initially thought this to be a problem, after he had evolved his powers to new and greater heights, I thought that perhaps Vegeta is more suitable to that other technique. Yeah, the capability to master that forbidden technique and unbounded power, Beerus agreed. The secret of self-indulgence, huh? I can see why the other gods were threatened by the idea of a Saiyan becoming a god of destruction. However, considering Vegeta's astounding self-control and indomitable willpower that he had demonstrated after his spirit control training on planet Yadrin, there is a possibility that he can indeed master such a powerful technique. But I think he is having doubts after what Toppo and King Zen told him. He had somehow shaken his resolve and only solidified his disinterest in becoming a god of destruction. Doesn't mean he wants to stop becoming one and breach the contract he had made with you, though. Beerus let out a wild, malevolent grin. His eyes gleamed with determination. Oh, I'll make sure that he will become a god of destruction no matter what. And when he does, and he's able to master the secret of self-indulgent technique, I know that Vegeta will become completely unstoppable. Vegeta was up early morning as usual, though this time he was a bit more excited to begin his training with Beerus. At long last, his wish to learn the powers of destruction would begin today, and he was sure that Beerus would be impressed by his abilities. After doing a few morning routine exercises outside, he proceeded to make his breakfast while Whis did Beerus's in the kitchen. Whis greeted Vegeta with a good morning and asked him if he's looking forward to training with Beerus later. Curious about what Beerus-sama said yesterday, Vegeta told Whis as he sliced off a slab of meat he just roasted in the oven using a kitchen knife. Is there really another way to learn the destruction technique other than what Toppo said? Whis was right about his thoughts last night. Vegeta was indeed having doubts about the power of destruction. He couldn't shake off the words told to him by his adversary during the fight yesterday. Of course, Whis assured him. Do not worry about it. I believe this is going to be easier for you to do rather than using the more common way. After all, it was Beerus-sama who discovered this other way. Vegeta turned his head to Whis, his eyes wide in astonishment. Really? He was able to master such technique without compromising his ideals? He asked breathlessly. Yes. How? Whis gave him a warm and soothing smile. I'm sure he will tell you later, he whispered. He put a plate full of ham, bacon, eggs, and a tall stack of pancakes with honey and butter into Vegeta's tray. I made extras for you. Eat well, you will need it, he winked. Whis took the plates of food he had beautifully prepared and gracefully left the kitchen towards the dining room. Vegeta watched him leave like a wind through the door before he followed him with the tray of his massive breakfast. They found Beerus waiting there, wrapped in his prestige white bathrobe and shower cap. It seems the god of destruction had just taken his morning bath. Good morning, Beerus-sama, Vegeta awkwardly greeted him with a forced grin. Beerus gazed at him with a bored eyes and simply mumbled under his breath, Good morning. Whis put the food he prepared right in front of Beerus while Vegeta sat across the god of destruction. Started eating in silence, trying to ignore the pair of yellow eyes watching intently at him for quite some time. What? Vegeta asked awkwardly at Beerus when he finally found the god of destruction's stare becoming quite unnerving. Beerus' glare didn't melt at all as he said, was trying to think about what you did during your fight with Toppo. Vegeta put his utensils down, feeling like it was just punched on the gut. So much for thinking that Beerus had forgotten about it. He lowered his eyes, his muscles tensed. What about it? He asked, voice forced to sound indifferent, though he was afraid of his punishment. At first I thought it was just a mere coincidence, or that you were just lucky to be able to resist the powers of destruction and prevent yourself from being erased from existence. But then, you did it twice. That's when you became quite suspicious to me. Suspicious about what? Your abilities. You are no ordinary mortal, Saiyan. Well, not any mortal gets to have godly powers as I do, so what about it? That's not what I meant, Vegeta. Then what are you trying to say then? Beerus frowned. He gave the Saiyan a grunt and waved his hand. Let's have breakfast first, and then we will talk about this outside. Beerus ended the topic by focusing on his breakfast. Confused, Vegeta ate his food. Silence. After breakfast, Beerus told Vegeta to follow him outside. The pair strolled away from the castle until they reached the cliff. Before creation comes destruction, Beerus said as he stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the vast, lifeless sea below him. Vegeta was behind him, still feeling tensed and confused about Beerus' early words. In the dining room, he swept his eyes to look at his surroundings. Behind the cliff was just a barren wasteland, so this is where his training to harness the powers of destruction would begin. It was an eerie thought because somehow he could feel that this could also become his grave. This is how the balance of the existence of the universe works, Beerus continued, causing Vegeta to look back at him. There are a lot of deities in this universe, but two are considered above them all. You already met Shin. He is the Kaioshin, a god of creation, responsible for the creation of everything within this universe, from stars to planets and all that surrounds them. He also gives life to the creatures that exist in the universe and is responsible for the cycle of reincarnation. Given that he works alongside me and Enma Dio, the god of the underworld, Shin is also the guardian deity who watches over the mortal realm, along with 4 other but lower guardian deities, the King Kais who are assigned in each quadrant of the universe. Shin is considered my counterpart. I am the Hakai Shin, the god of destruction responsible for the divine punishments of death and devastation of everything that the Kaioshin had created. Due to this, you could say that I am well above Shin in terms of power. Even so, we work together to maintain the balance of this universe. If we see a mortal causing too much trouble, I would give them the divine punishment of destruction, in which anything is erased from its existence. Vegeta recalled how Beerus said that he was supposed to destroy the Saiyans himself, and he wondered if this could be the reason why he just ordered Frieza to destroy the Saiyans for him instead, just so they could continue to exist through him. God, even after so many years, Vegeta still hadn't forgiven both Frieza and Beerus for this. Beerus explained to him once he was only doing his job as a god of destruction. It is not a matter of good or evil or personal preference, and he believed that the Saiyans deserved to be destroyed due to their nasty deeds. Vegeta knew that Beerus was right because even himself had once thought his people, especially his father, the king, would face destruction for their foolishness. That's why even Vegeta had not forgiven Beerus. He understood his reasons for doing this. But this understanding had somehow settled their differences and made Vegeta accept Beerus as his ally and master. Vegeta could see why we see some similar traits between him and Beerus. Their personalities, attitude, and train of thoughts are the same, after all. Beerus raised a finger, pointing at the dark skies. It looked like he's trying to aim at something very far with how he squinted his left eye and focused his sights forward. Vegeta wondered how far Beerus could see. How can he destroy a planet several light years away from where he stood? How many planets do you think you Saiyans have destroyed? Beerus asked this suddenly, causing Vegeta to raise his eyebrows in his puzzlement at the question. Does it have to do with his learnings? Who knows? Vegeta replied with a shrug. It's hard to say. Fighting was the only way of living for the Saiyans. But after we entered the deal with the Cold Force, we start to invade worlds. Prior to this, my father destroyed several planets by his own accord in his ambitious pursuit for power. He had built the Saiyan kingdom on top of countless depths. How about you? How many planets have you destroyed before I took you in here? Vegeta murmured as he pondered for a moment, counting. Plenty. Most of the planets I destroyed were due to me going against Frieza's orders, or if there was something about it that annoyed me. Beerus put his left hand down and turned to Vegeta with a surprised look. What do you mean you destroyed planets to go against Frieza's orders? You know, planets I was ordered to invade. I destroyed some planets in the hopes of preventing the Frieza Force from getting any more power or resources. If I was planning to put the Frieza Force down, I have to prevent my greatest enemy from becoming more powerful than he already was. Can you imagine how furious Frieza should be? It was disappointing that he was congratulating me instead of being mad about what I did. It was odd. Beerus cackled. Sounds like you were really trying hard to provoke Frieza back then. Hello, sis. Yeah, we're not that far in. He didn't want me to get stronger then. I was at the time. I knew he was trying to prevent me from becoming a Super Saiyan. So he would send me to invade planets where the inhabitants weren't too much for me to handle. At The tasks were boring, so I decided to just fire up some fireworks. I'm sure you know what I meant by that. Beerus gave him a knowing grin. Of course. So, why did you ask about that? Because Beerus suddenly turned around, pointing at the dark skies, and fired a small bullet of destructive purple energy into the clouds. The lightning flashed at the exact time as it hit a nearby planet. Vegeta marveled with his jaw dropped at the sight of it exploding. He got the feeling of nostalgia from his early childhood days and thought about how he missed the wonderful sight of a planet's firework-like eruption. I was only curious about how you feel about it, Beerus ended. Vegeta lowered his eyes and stared at Beerus, giving him a confused look. Huh? Beerus turned his head over his shoulder to give him a slight grin. Has been a long time since you last destroyed a planet like that, haven't you? Yeah, Vegeta nodded. Think about it now. How do you feel about destroying those planets when you were young? Vegeta quickly lowered his head in shame, and he didn't answer. There was a moment of silence in between them following Beerus' question. Suddenly he found himself being thrown back when Beerus unexpectedly attacked him by grabbing his face. Vegeta was unable to do anything to defend himself as Beerus mercilessly slammed his head back into the ground, which cracked underneath his throbbing cranium due to the force of Beerus' surprising strike. What the hell do you think you're doing? Vegeta demanded Beerus, giving him a sharp glare. So long as you are doubting something, you will never wield this power you desire, Beerus told him with an icy tone. Doubt? Vegeta repeated, breathlessly confused. Aside from those lives and worlds you have mercilessly destroyed, you are feeling guilty for the evil things all of the Saiyans did in your lifetime. You still think of yourself as the savior they needed, a representative of the entire Saiyan race. That's why you continue to be stubborn about that Saiyan pride of yours. You felt responsible for upholding your race's honor as the crown prince you were. And you burden yourself with the need to cleanse your people's reputation. Everything that you did in your life isn't just about your personal pride. It's all about your sense of duty to people. And that's so self-centered of you, Saiyan. Beerus grabbed Vegeta by his black flame-shaped spiky hair and held him back until he hit a nearby boulder that was immediately reduced to rubble. Suddenly, a blue godly aura erupted from the rocks and Vegeta appeared in his Super Saiyan Blue evolved form. He braced himself for defense as Beerus charged at him once more. Despite being in his most powerful form, Vegeta was still defenseless against the might of the god's destruction. This isn't about what Toppo and King Zen told you about. I'm not saying that you should forget about your personal views, principles, or your pride. This is about the unnecessary things that prevent you from growing. Your guilt, doubts, these things make you indecisive about your present. Whatever your people did has nothing to do with you. Whatever evil things you did yourself are all in the past. These are things that cannot be changed because what's done has already been done. The real chains and weights that you have is yourself because you are allowing these things from your past to trap you and prevent you from growing. Beerus roared at him as he ceaselessly pummeled the defenseless Saiyan. Whenever I do my duties as a god of destruction, I let go of all unnecessary things in my present mind and focus entirely on only one thing, destruction itself. This allows me to tap into my inner instincts and thus the secret to this unlimited power that I have. Beerus grabbed Vegeta's wrist after the prince failed to land a punch on him. Then he put his palm up facing Vegeta's training armor. Vegeta suddenly felt powerful pressure locking him in place. Something inside of him pulsed as Beerus uttered in a commanding voice, "Destruction!" There was a burst of energy that had blown Vegeta away for miles, and he fell into a massive crater. Its impact made to the ground, forcing him out of his evolved Super Saiyan Blue form. Save that image. Ah! Vegeta groaned on the crater where he just plummeted. His armor was completely destroyed on the front, thus showing his stony abdominal muscles and the lower part of his chiseled pectorals on the whole of his clothes. Beerus followed Vegeta, and having seen the Saiyan Prince's resistance to the destruction technique that closed, Beerus concluded that Vegeta could be something else. Beerus descended on the top of the crater and he said, "It's in your Saiyan blood to have the natural instinct for destruction, Vegeta. If you truly wish to wield the powers of destruction, you have to destroy any of your stray thoughts and recreate yourself from scratch. Before creation comes destruction. Do you understand what I mean?" Vegeta finally realized why Beerus chose him. A Saiyan instead of Frieza. Saiyans have a natural instinct and urge within them to destroy things. Their love for battle gives them the desire to destroy their enemies just for the satisfaction of that Saiyan drive within them. Their love of fighting strong opponents and the thrill of the fight allows them to destroy their previous level and break through their present limits, thus awakening them to new heights of seemingly bottomless power. A Saiyan who had transformed into a wild Ozaru beast under the light of the full moon loved destroying the world without anything to think of but to satisfy that primal desire. Vegeta remembered he had the same feeling when he first transformed to a Super Saiyan, or whenever he loses his mind due to the overwhelming power the transformation gave him that he could not control. Vegeta finally understood what Beerus meant. The god of destruction doesn't necessarily want him to let go of what makes him a Saiyan. He wants Vegeta to embrace the true nature of the Saiyans, to give in to his instincts, and to gratify his needs and desires as a Saiyan. The need to and desire to destroy his own limits, and to become self-indulgent with it. He smiled at Beerus and nodded once in understanding. "Let me demonstrate it to you a little closer," Beerus said as he walked past Vegeta to grab a rock as big as a handball that was lying on the ground. Then he playfully threw it in the air until it dropped on the top of the sharp black nail of his left index finger. Vegeta watched as Beerus played with the rock for a while, balancing it on his fingernail. When a god of destruction uses the power of destruction, anything our power touches gets destroyed, or rather, erased from existence. Completely. If a creator god creates something from nothing, a destroyer turns that something into nothing. Everything the Kaioshin creates has a core, and by concentrating the powers of destruction into it, we are able to destroy any kind of matter. Once it does, it releases heaps of energy that the Kaioshin will use to create a new something. Before creation comes destruction. Beerus gave him a crooked smile. Correct. The rock abruptly exploded, and the shockwave created by the burst of energy caused Vegeta to step back with his forearms in front of his face to protect himself. Such force, Vegeta thought in astonishment. Explosion of energy is the real highlight of this technique, Beerus said. He walked a few steps to pick a small stone the size of a marble and held it towards Vegeta, who caught it with his right hand in the air. "Now, you try it," he ordered the prince. Vegeta nodded. He looked down at his right hand, grabbing the stone in between his index finger and thumb before he held up the stone. on the tip of its index finger, concentrating his thoughts solely on destruction alone. The insatiable instinct of his Saiyan nature, he focused this desire and his powers into the center of the stone. Boom! The stone blew up into a mass of scattered energy that sent a pressure wave flowing at his face. Vegeta squinted his eyes and spat on the ground, shaking off the dirt that came with the shockwave. Beerus cackled out loud at his reaction. "You'll get used to it," Beerus chuckled. "Good job! You're able to get the principle behind the technique of destruction. Now it will be up to you to improve and control this power." Vegeta stared at Beerus in disappointment, inwardly wondering if the training is already finished. The look on his face told Beerus something, so he said with a bored look in his yellow eyes, "I've already taught you the powers of destruction that you wish to learn. How you will be able to enhance this technique is entirely up to you. I suspect that you have the power of destruction sleeping within you, and it only awakens whenever you are overwhelmed by your survival instinct as a Saiyan. When you are on the brink of being destroyed, you are able to resist it. Only destruction could go against destruction itself. This is how you were able to completely nullify the power of destruction and avoid being erased from existence during your fight with Toppo. This is also how you were able to perform the destruction technique that easily with just simple guidance from me. Now it is up to you to master this power. If you manage to do this, I will permit you to take your long-awaited revenge against Frieza." "Really?" Vegeta asked this quite excited. "Of course. But you should know that like you, Frieza also has the potential of destruction within him. That's why you must become stronger and master this technique so you can overwhelm him. Else Frieza would do what you were able to do during your battle against Toppo. You get what I mean?" Vegeta nodded. "Yes, I understand." "Now then, you know what to do, Vegeta." Beerus walked away after that. Vegeta sighed and shook his head. He tried to search for any rock to practice this new technique, bigger than the one he destroyed earlier. While he was doing so, Vegeta felt the planet shake due to a massive explosion, and when he looked up, he found plenty of rocks of random sizes falling around him from the sky. Beerus was levitating from where it came from, smiling mischievously at him before he returned to the castle. For the next 3 months, Vegeta was training to master the destruction move, more determined than ever, due to the prospect of him finally getting his revenge against Frieza. He started from very small objects to bigger things. At times, Beerus would playfully throw him random things, like logs or rocks to use the technique with. Whis and Yogengyo were getting tired of all those explosions going around the planet. One day, Vegeta accidentally destroyed an entire waterfall, which made Beerus extremely outraged and caused Vegeta to earn a painful smack on the head, plus angry rants from both Beerus and Whis. With Vegeta getting stronger every single day, unable to control his growing strength and the destructive power he now possessed, Beerus told Whis to send Vegeta into that place. Whis waved his scepter in the air and a wormhole appeared in the sky, pulling the Saiyan into a new dimension to train him. In that place, the so-called sacred space of spirit and time, a vast pure white space surrounded by intense atmospheric pressure and gravity, Vegeta trained for an entire year, though it's only a single day in his real world, without holding his powers back, thanks to his spirit control proliferation technique. Vegeta could create training partners as powerful as he is. Plus, this place seems to have the ability to magically change its atmospheric pressure, gravity levels, temperature, and its surroundings. Though through this training, Vegeta was able to get stronger than he ever was before, mastering the powers of destruction completely. While Beerus was busy playing some video games on a handheld console as he lay in relaxation against the ground, Vegeta broke through the said dimension to return to his world in a massive burst of destructive power, much to Whis and Beerus' surprise. Both didn't expect Vegeta to gain this much power within a year, power strong enough to break through an entire dimension on his own. Welcome back. Looks like you have trained for quite some time, Beerus grinned as he put down his console on the ground next to him. And look at that! Seems you have finally mastered the power of destruction, huh? So, how did it go, Vegeta-san? Asked him. Vegeta tilted his chin up, a confident smile on his lips. Well, who knows? Look at that overconfidence. He's raring to go as soon as he got out of sacred space, Beerus scoffed at Whis, chuckling to himself. I'm sure that you are so eager to test out this new power of yours. Why don't you go and do what you must? Go and destroy Frieza just as you wanted. Alright then, I will take you straight to where Frieza is, Whis said. But before that, I have to clean you up first. He waved his staff towards Vegeta, magically cleaned him up, and dressed him into his Saiyan Royal Battle Armor, the same one he wore during his battle with Toppo. Now you look fresh and more confident, Whis told him with a wink. I'm sure you wanted to wear your Royal Battle Armor for your big fight with your greatest enemy. You have waited so many years for this, and I bid you good luck on your battle. Just a piece of advice, do not underestimate Frieza, just because you now have the godly power of destruction. There are mortal beings who can have greater power than that of a god, just like yourself. He's been training too, in preparation for your return. Understood. Whis reached out his hand towards Vegeta, who took it willingly. Whis pulled the prince closer to him. Not so fast. I'm going with you, Beerus said. I wanted to see how you improve. This is a good chance to see what you are truly capable of. Vegeta, prove to me that I'm not wrong choosing you over Frieza. Yeah, of course. I'm sure I'll surprise you, Vegeta told him with a smirk. Side note, I think I've mentioned this before, Vegeta equals 24 and Frieza equals 24 in the Chaldean numerological system. Victoria reality, I refer to that. But I digress and moving on. Beerus crooked a smile. I like that confidence. He fumbled on his pocket with his left hand and took out a square-shaped golden earring. Take this and stick it to your left ear, he said, throwing the earring to Vegeta, who caught it in between his fingers. Vegeta turned his hand around and curiously gazed at the thing in confusion. That is a symbol of those who are permitted to use the divine powers of destruction. Gee, very well then, Vegeta said. He turned around to put the earring Beerus just gave him on his left ear. Once he was done, Beerus gave him a smirk of satisfaction, as if silently telling him that it looks good on him. Let's go, Whis, Beerus said. Both Beerus and Vegeta grabbed Whis' shoulders, and the three of them blasted their way towards wherever Frieza was. Now, the notes, before we proceed to the following chapter, of course. The secret of self-indulgence, also known in the English translation as ultra ego, or superiority instinct, or mega instinct, is the ability to gratify one's inner impulses, such as causing destruction in the case of the gods of destruction. It is the other way to master the powers of the god of destruction, aside from the one that Toppo demonstrated in his fight with Vegeta. However, it is highly forbidden technique for some reason, and the other gods seem to consider it to be a dangerous way to master or unleash a god of destruction power. It also seems to be the reason why the gods were so against Beerus' decision to make a Saiyan his apprentice and successor. The reason why it is forbidden is going to be explained in the future chapters of the main story. Okay, Chapter 9, Vegeta's Secret of Self-Indulgence. Let's just change it up. Okay. Vegeta's long-awaited revenge against Frieza occurs on planet Namek. How would he fare against the might of the Galactic Emperor? Vegeta's power of destruction awakens in Part 9 of this special backstory about Vegeta's mortal life prior to his becoming the God of Destruction. Whis would always say that too much overconfidence would cost you so much. It was a problem with foolish mortals who had excessive power at their fingertips, especially those who think so high and mighty of themselves. This trait was very obvious with Vegeta due to his naturally prideful nature, and Whis would never fail to advise him about it. Getting a new level of power would usually get into his head and make him too blind with his arrogance. And yet, thanks to his genius, he was able to miraculously turn the tables and win despite that. Seeing Vegeta being this confident, Whis wondered what kind of plan does the Saiyan have in that mysterious mind of his. Having raised Vegeta for 17 years, Whis knew that the prince possessing this kind of confidence and excitement in him only meant that he was hiding something surprising. Whis pondered that Vegeta had taken his training too far this time. While the prince was training in the sacred space of spirit and time yesterday, Beerus and Whis made their visit to Frieza. Beerus was incredibly disappointed to see that Frieza was taking his own sweet time, doing what he usually does as the Emperor of the Universe, giving orders to his henchmen, torturing or killing his imbecile servants, destroying entire races and planets of those who foolishly went against him. Frieza was incredibly shocked to see his unexpected guest appear out of nowhere inside his throne room. Yo, has been a while, Frieza, Beerus greeted him. Hakai, Beerus-sama, Frieza gasped in horror. It was surprising to have the God of Destruction visit him after all these years. What are you doing in here, my lord? And you come to grace me with your divine presence after all these years? We just came to see how you're doing. Seems that you are as nasty as ever, huh? Beerus replied with his typically bored tone. You haven't changed a bit, destroying planets and entire races just to hold into your position and prove them your superiority. Aside from you, Beerus-sama, there are no other beings in this universe who could go against me. During the year after you have taken Vegeta away from me, I trained for the first time in my life, threatened by your words that once Vegeta returned, you'd be the legendary Super Saiyan and the Super Saiyan God. I cannot allow a mere Saiyan monkey to assert me from my position after all. Imagine the great disappointment I got when Vegeta indeed returned, but he was still no match for me. Seems that my paranoia about those nightmares was just mere illusions after all. There's no Super Saiyan at all, neither is a Super Saiyan God. So, is that the reason why you have been slacking off these past 15 years? I am the strongest mortal in this universe, Beerus-sama. No other mortal could ever go against me after all. That's why I cannot understand why you chose that monkey prince to be your successor instead of me. Not like I'm interested in your mantle and all, but it was such an insult to me. Beerus held up his hand, causing Frieza to shut his trap. Seems that your victory against Vegeta during your first fight had made you quite cocky. You know I could destroy you here and now, Frieza. You honestly think that I have forgiven you for how you ruined my plans when you told Vegeta my involvement in his home planet's destruction? He warned with a deep, low, icy tone. His yellow cat eyes gave off a chilling, murderous glare that caused the proud galactic emperor to tremble with utmost fear. But then, I guess it's all for the better. Better, Beerus muttered, putting down his hand and clasping it with the other behind his back. Frieza let out a breath of relief at that return and returned to his usual composure. So, what happened to that Saiyan monkey pet of yours? Frieza asked rather curiously, and then he chuckled. Surely you didn't live long enough to endure your harsh training. Judging by your words, I guess he probably went against you, tried to attack you, or run away from you. That Saiyan was always so easily triggered. Indeed, Vegeta did all that. He went against me, attacked me out of his rage, and after realizing he's no match for me, he ran away from our contract, Beerus said. Thought so, Frieza shrugged. So, I guess he's already dead. You couldn't have destroyed him since clearly he still existed in this universe through bitter, unwanted memories. So, did you come here because you realized that I'm more suited to become your successor now? Hmm? No, Beerus answered. As I said earlier, I came here to see how you are doing. And it greatly disappoints me to see how cocky you have become since you defeated Vegeta. You'll definitely regret slacking off your training. Frieza's eyes widened at that, utterly confused by Beerus' words. What? What do you mean by that? He demanded breathlessly. Oh yeah, you didn't know. When you told Vegeta about my orders for you to destroy the Saiyans and their home planet, he was completely enraged. Yes, he did attack me out of his pure anger. And didn't I mention earlier that what you did was indeed for the better? You should feel lucky that you weren't there to witness such marvelous explosion of pure Saiyan wrath and be his first blood peace. What? I admit I was indeed terrified by his rage. I, the god of destruction of this universe, felt terror for the first time in my life. But of course, even with all the power and bloodlust he had, he couldn't beat me. After Vegeta was able to calm himself down, I made my explanation as to why I ordered you to destroy his people and his kingdom. He hated me for it, of course, but he eventually realized and understood the reason for what I did. I am a god of destruction, and I only fulfilled my duty. I never liked the Saiyan's stingy nature, most especially that of King Vegeta III. But since I saw the potential of a destroyer within Prince Vegeta and didn't wish for it to be wasted, I asked you to spare him. I have given him the chance to prove to everyone the true might of a Saiyan warrior. Since then, Vegeta had dedicated himself to harsh training. He was more determined than ever. Yes, he did hate me, but there was no other person he hated the most than you, Frieza. After all, it was you who had driven him and his people to slavery and directly destroyed them for personal reasons. It was you who broke his spirit and humiliated his pride several times. He wanted revenge from you, and he will do it soon. So, if I were you, I would stop slacking off and train, although I doubt it would do you any good, since you will be against my protege. Which wondered if Frieza had taken Beerus' advice and trained for the entirety of the day. To be honest, they didn't expect for Vegeta to burst out the sacred space of spirit and time this soon. They just hoped that Vegeta could finally get his satisfaction in his revenge. Here we are, Whis exclaimed as soon as they landed into a planet's grass field atop a valley overlooking an archipelago. The planet was bright, sunny, and warm. These because all of the three suns that hung over the horizon. The sky was green with white puffy clouds. The land was covered by the blue-green grass and tall but thin trees with blue-green leaves. The body of water that surrounded the land was a deep blue color. He would have admired the beautiful and seemingly peaceful view. It has been a long time since he left their world, but he knew he had no time for that. At first glance, anyone would think the planet was indeed a serene place. Perhaps this is how it originally was. Vegeta could tell the inhabitants of this world are calm and peaceful creatures, very far from the savage race he came from, feeling the natural energy of the planet through his spirit control. Vegeta knew that everything was fine and well until evil key. This is Frieza's. Vegeta commented about the energy he was sensing. Stepping forward, Frieza was several miles away from where they landed, but he could feel the Emperor's huge energy spiking with desperation. Around that massive and maleficent key were several smaller life forces, most of it dropping at a dangerous pace. Whoever those energies belong to, they're slowly dying. Even though Vegeta never cared about the people of this planet, those dying energies alarmed him. He just didn't like what was happening to him. He could tell that Frieza was not alone as well. He snorted quietly. And he's brought those Ginyu Toku Sentai fools too. Huh. Frieza must be desperate to go to planet Namek, Beerus said with a chuckle. Vegeta turned his head over his left shoulder to look at Beerus. Why would Frieza come here? I've heard that Namekians are slimy gastropod bastards who possess strange sorcery powers on top of their extraordinary fighting abilities. Despite that, they are a peaceful race. I doubt that despite their abilities, Frieza would be interested in them. In this planet exist 7 magical balls that could grant any wish of whoever managed to gather them together, Frieza explained. He's probably going to wish for something using those Dragon Balls. What's he going to wish for? Beerus shrugged his shoulders. Who knows? But I must take a guess. He must be either to stop you, or for him to gain some miraculous strength or power that would help him catch up to you. Really? You can just wish for that? Beerus gave him a sly grin. What? Are you worried? Peter rolled his eyes off him. Don't be ridiculous. Whatever Frieza's going to wish for is futile anyway. A rotten, prideless bastard such as him was always meant to be destroyed by my hand. Several miles away from where Vegeta's group crash landed, the entire village of Namekians were mercilessly slaughtered by the Frieza Force in their search for the last of the 7 Dragon Balls. They already have 6 in their possession, which they have also taken in the same horrific manner from other innocent villages. Fine, you can take it. In the end, after you were able to collect all 7 Dragon Balls, you won't be able to get your wish anyway. The elderly Namekian told this to the Galactic Emperor, who was the only sole survivor of this village. He was the elder, the leader of this particular group of Namekians. Around him, his people lay dead, killed by his ruthless bastard and his men. Such stubborn fools! How dare you defy the mighty Frieza-sama? Frieza growled this. The last villager of the Namekian village dropped lifelessly on his feet. He just fired a death beam into the old Namekian's heart after the elder refused to give him the information he wanted. Frieza was able to collect all the 7 Dragon Balls by murdering every single villager he would find, except for that one who called himself as Sanchiro Go, who claimed he was the creator of the Dragon Balls. When he was about to kill the great elder of the Namekians, his bodyguard told him that if this person dies, the Dragon Balls will become useless. Frieza spared the sick giant for the sake of getting his wish. Frieza was in no mood for these pointless negotiations. After all, who knows when that Saiyan monkey would appear? His plan to break Vegeta's pride and fighting spirit completely almost 15 years ago backfired, and instead only spurred the boy to keep moving forward. Much to his disappointment. Heck, even his plan for Beerus to destroy that barbarian also failed. He knew about this too late. Frieza regretted slacking off his training. While he initially believed that Vegeta would be no match for him, the fact that Beerus told him that even a god of destruction like himself was terrified by Vegeta's wrath was giving Frieza some doubts about his confidence. If it is indeed true that Vegeta had been training his ass off for these past 15 years since Frieza had humiliated him, then there's a chance that what Beerus warned him about was true. But damn how he only knew about this at that very moment. Frieza and his men returned to the island where their massive spaceship waited. He ordered Ginyu, the leader of his special forces, the Ginyu Toku Sentai, to put all the 7 Dragon Balls together. Ginyu was assisted by his other members, Berta, Jace, Riku, and Gudo, to arrange the golden balls by the number of orange stars within them. Behind Frieza stood Konoha, Berry Blue, Sobe, Tagoma, and Shisami. Oh, Frieza spelled like that? I have not checked actually. Frieza in the English kind of dub translation, yeah, equals 24. That one, I do not. Will be added. Oh. Once the preparation was done, Frieza stepped forward, reached out to the skies and exclaimed, "Now, prepare to witness the birth of your eternal ruler. Dragon Balls, grant me the Galactic Emperor Frieza-sama immortality!" Nothing happened. Frieza was confused. But nothing happened, Tagoma stated the obvious. "Maybe you are immortal now, Frieza-sama," Sobe asked awkwardly. Frieza scowled. What the hell is wrong? His incantation, he was pretty sure it was correct. He repeated his command once again, but still, nothing happened. Frieza stared down at his hands. "No, I don't think so." He pondered for a moment, only to remember what that last Namekian elderly told him about. So that is the reason why he said those words. He was confident I won't be able to make my wish because in order to make use of the Dragon Balls, there's a specific requirement. Some kind of code that only these damn Namekians know, Frieza realized. "But didn't we kill all of the Namekians?" Ginyu asked. "No, I left that Saichoro Guru and his guard alive. Perhaps they could give us the information we want." "We'll go and force it out of them," Ginyu volunteered. "Go on, Ginyu-san," Frieza permitted. Ginyu bowed before his master and commanded his other members. "Ginyu Toka Sentai, let's head out!" "Yeah!" Berta, Jace, Riku, and Gilda shouted in unison. However, before they could even leap to fly into the sky, they found several key beams raining down on them. Several of them hit the foot soldiers standing right behind them. "This is Vegeta's technique," gasped Shisami, recognizing the consecutive key blast the Saiyan was so fond of using. With a scowl, displeased at such ungraceful entrance the damn monkey brat was trying to make. "So, he has come." They looked up into the green sky to see a lone Saiyan floating up above them, with his arms crossed over the white chest plate of his armor, a grin over his lips. He stared down at the Frieza force. Behind him, his red cape billowed against the soft wind. His black flame-shaped hair looked like a blazing fire. "It's Vegeta!" Sobe recognized in horror. "Yo!" Vegeta greeted with a sardonic smile. "It's been a while, Frieza-sama," he said the Emperor's name with such force that showed how much it distasted him to call the bastard by such, descending to the ground a few meters in front of the Galactic Emperor. "Yes, it has been a long time indeed, Vegeta-san," Frieza said, facing him with a smile. "You haven't changed much. You still look like the same as the last time I almost killed you, if not for the intervention of Beerus-sama's attendants. Although, I have to say that you're a bit taller, and that you now look very much like your late father." "I could say the same for you, Frieza. I can see that our time apart hasn't done anything to fix that joke you call your face. I hope you enjoyed your time torturing the weaklings because I came here to end the stupidity of yours." Peter responded with a self-assured, smug simper. "Immortality, huh? You honestly think it would save you from your destruction? I don't think so, because I am going to destroy you here and now." Frieza made a look of surprise to express his mockery of Vegeta's absurd declaration. What? You came to destroy me, you say? Yeah, that is correct, Vegeta replied, still with that pompous grin. Frieza chuckled, acting quite modest by placing his fingers over his lips. You never changed. Your jokes are still lame as always. Laugh. While you hide under the care of a god of destruction and his lowly servant, I have been training all these. Then that's good. I hope it's enough to entertain me before I destroy your damn existence off this cosmos. Vegeta swept his eyes to the side to look at the members of the Team Toko Sentai who used to bully him when he was so little. They were all staring at him as if they had seen a ghost. You guys are lucky to have been sent to a mission when I murdered everyone on planet Frieza 79 before I left, he told them. We heard what you did to Zaba and Dodoria, and after that, you have disappeared for years, Ginyu said. He returned a year later to challenge me, but of course, he was no match for me. After that, he was no show for the next 15 years, Frieza said. Told him. So, did you get bored of hiding behind your foster parents? Actually, they're here, Vegeta revealed, pointing on a tall rock several feet on his right. A petrified Frieza's eyes widened, and his muscles tensed in terror as he shakily turned his head to where Vegeta was pointing. Indeed, Beerus and Whis were there, watching at them like they were watching some theater play. Beerus? Frieza gasped in horror. Yo, Frieza, is that a proper way to address me? Beerus grinned with a toothy grin. Frieza swallowed fearfully and then stuttered, My apologies, Beerus-sama, but what are you doing here? Beerus gave him a bored look. I'm here to watch your fight. What else? They're only spectators, so no need to worry about them. It's going to be between you and me, Frieza, Vegeta told him before he addressed the rest of the Frieza Force soldiers. But if you fools want to fight alongside him, you may feel free to do so. Oh, such confidence you got there, Vegeta-chan! Goom laughed. Don't you mock us, shouted Jace indignantly, for he felt insulted by this damn monkey's arrogance. We are the Ginyu Toko Sentai! No way a lowly Saiyan monkey will match us! Gudo yelled. Vegeta turned his gaze towards Gudo. Ha! And that's coming from a weakling who just got lucky to have been enlisted just because he has psychic powers, Vegeta mocked. This insult completely pissed the petite-sized, pudgy, four-eyed, green-skinned alien. How dare you make fun of me, Vegeta! I will make you suffer! Gudo snared back venomously. Vegeta raised his hands and playfully waved them in front of him, as if to fan the scent away from the air. Stop yelling! You'll pollute the air with your stinking breath! He teased with a sing-song tone, causing Gudo to become even more furious. Why, you! Abruptly, Vegeta felt some kind of binding force surrounding him. His earlier laughing expression turned into a deep scowl, his dark eyes boring into the enraged Gudo. You! What are you doing? Vegeta asked him in a bored manner, frowning, and his cold, raven-colored eyes closed halfway. Gudo, thinking he managed to completely incapacitate the Saiyan, laughed boisterously. Now you won't be able to move under my telekinesis. He turned his head to his comrade. Guys, it's your chance to attack! Frieza watched with sadistic glee as his special force tried to attack the Saiyan altogether. Kudo used his telekinetic ability to create a giant skewer out of a nearby tree, hoping to create a skewered monkey kebab out of the same. The rest of the Ginyu Tokusentai prepared their most powerful attacks, as if it's going to be the fire needed to roast their food. Vegeta simply smiled as they unleashed their attacks on him. Ginyu Force stepped back when they found all of their attacks were completely nullified for some reason. Frieza became alerted by this. Just what the hell is that? Apparently this kind of technique won't work on me anymore, Vegeta told Kudo. He flexed his arms on the sides and cancelled the force that was supposed to bind him, incapacitated rather effectively. He's managed to free himself from Kudo's power, Raccoon gasped. What kind of power is this? Become unbelievably strong, Jace stuttered breathlessly. How is this even possible? You're just a lonely Saiyan monkey, Kudo yelled at him. It is unwise to underestimate a Saiyan, Vegeta told them as he stepped forward. What do you bastards think I was doing these past 15 years? You bastards only believe I was hiding behind Beerus and Whistle this time. Or perhaps you all thought I was already killed. After all, I've been under the tutelage of a god of destruction and his guide Angel, with whom not many mortals would survive. God of destruction, Ginyu repeated. God of destruction, Ginyu repeated. Angel? Vegeta asked him. Yes, all these years I've been training to become the most powerful deity in this universe. No, the entire multiverse. I am chosen by Beerus-sama himself to become the next god of destruction. In fact, I was chosen over your master over there because of the fact that I am a Saiyan. Everyone couldn't believe this. They couldn't understand why a mere lowly Saiyan was chosen instead of their greater and mightier master Frieza. Just what did this god of destruction Beerus see in Vegeta? They were all utterly confused. Vegeta held up his right hand with an invisible and powerful force rendered all soldiers of the Frieza Force except for Frieza himself completely paralyzed. This was more powerful than what Kudo did to him by several folds. And they all watched as Vegeta's black irises glow a purplish green. For what you did to me and the Namekians here, you shall receive divine punishment, Vegeta uttered in a deep, cold voice. Squeezed the air with his curled fingers, and all soldiers began to struggle as if their ability to breathe was being cut off. Destruction! Let's just say, could have organized this sooner, but change up that one. Stand by momentarily. Yeah, here we go. Destruction! All of a sudden, the surrounding air burst into heaps of energy. All the soldiers dropped to the ground, struggling to breathe until they were all completely lifeless. Oh, Beerus grinned proudly. So Vegeta has finally completely mastered the power of destruction, indeed. Whis agreed on his side. Yes, he didn't intend to destroy the existences of those mortals. What he did was he destroyed their ability to breathe the air around them, therefore killing them by asphyxiation. He wanted to show Frieza off what he will do to him in their battle by demonstrating the power of destruction to him this way. He was being wise because he knew that you only gave him the permission to destroy Frieza and not other mortals. So, am I supposed to be intimidated by that? Frieza asked Vegeta, not caring about the deaths of all the soldiers he brought with him. I've already told you, Frieza, that I came in here to destroy you, Vegeta said coldly. Now that those pests are out of the way, we can finally begin your path to destruction. Foolish Vegeta, that mouth of yours is as big as your stupid ego. I had enough of you. This time I will make sure that I will finish you off, Frieza exclaimed. He turned to where Beerus and Whis was spectating. I hope you two don't mind, he smiled slyly. Beerus rolled his eyes at him. Whatever, Frieza. If you wish to kill Vegeta, then so be it. If he dies here, then it means you are more deserving to become my successor than he is. Oh, is that right, Beerus-sama? Frieza cackled. He turned to Vegeta and said, You heard him, Vegeta-san. This time there will be no one to save you. Vegeta chuckled back at him, going with the flow. He tilted his chin upwards. As he gazed at Frieza with a crazed glint in his dark eyes and a psychotic smile. You're not the only one who has gotten stronger through training, Frieza, Vegeta told him. So, if I were you, I would get into my true form right away, or else. You know exactly what would happen to you. Frieza's calm expression changed to simmering madness. You insolent little... He seemed in his indignation before he realized what he was doing and tried to hold himself back to remain in calm composure. Fine, if you wish to die so soon, then so be it. With a lengthy roar, Frieza unleashed a bright purple aura and began powering up. Planet Namek started to shake as if in the horror of the Galactic Emperor's overwhelming energy. The usually bright, sunny green skies immediately began to be engulfed by ominous thunderclouds, giving off cataclysmic lightning in random directions. Despite this, Vegeta stood his ground rather calmly, even against the mighty gust of wind blowing around him and the shockwaves threatening to push him away. In a blinding flash of purple light, Frieza appeared in his true form, the sleek, white and purple form of a humanoid alien lizard with a cold, slanting red eyes and small, shiny black lips. Be honored that you are the first insect to see this form twice in your life, and I hope that this is going to be the last thing you will see as well. Vegeta similarly grinned back at him. He put his arms down on his sides, set his feet apart in shoulder length, and flared his white aura. Aren't you going to power up at all? Frieza asked. Vegeta snorted back comfortably. You should worry about yourself. This arrogant response from this pompous imbecile pissed Frieza off. Vegeta's cockiness is getting on his nerves. Is he underestimating him? Both fighters fell into their signature fighting stances, engulfed by the waves of their energy and seemingly unleashed an ominous twister around them. Vegeta and Frieza kicked off the ground and charged at each other as their explosive energies burst into a blinding light. They engaged in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Although, much to Frieza's surprise, Vegeta was able to block and dodge his attacks that easily. I know it's been almost 15 years, but I am surprised that you have improved this much, Vegeta-san, Frieza stated. Didn't I tell you? You're not the only one who had gotten stronger. Indeed, and I applaud you for a job well done. You were able to match me using 20% of my power. Vegeta knew that Frieza was holding back his strength for some reason, but Vegeta decided to play along by pretending he didn't know. Oh, and here I thought you were using your full strength just now. Did you honestly think you deserve to see my full power, monkey? Frieza yelled. I'd say yes, because if you don't give this battle your all, you're going to regret it, Vegeta advised. You and your smart mouth, Frieza roared. Vegeta felt Frieza's power rise in an instant as he attempted to unleash a straight punch right on Vegeta's face. Although the prince could easily dodge the slow movement, Vegeta decided to take the punch on with a smile. Much to Frieza's surprise, Vegeta stood his ground against his punch now that he is at his 100% power. Really? Is this all you got? Vegeta asked him with a disparaging manner. What the hell? Frieza thought to himself, panting heavily as he staggered back due to his incredulity. He just couldn't believe it. Vegeta was able to resist his most powerful form, the same form that almost killed him 15 years ago. But how? How is this possible? Just what kind of training did Vegeta do these past 15 years? Oh, come on! I haven't even broken a sweat! Vegeta shouted at him. Upon finding Frieza's expression, he threw his head back and started laughing boisterously. So that's it, huh? I guess my training made me too strong for you. Too bad. I was hoping to show you something more interesting. And what would that be? Frieza asked, his red eyes wide in concern. Vegeta gave Frieza a crazed grin. Your worst nightmare. Vegeta decided to just reveal his secret. He thought that the look on Frieza's face after he sees his legendary transformation would be worth it, much better than what he currently has, and so he began his power up. He chose to do this little by little, just as how he did during his battle with Toppo, but this time just for the sake of terrifying Frieza to the bone. Vegeta flexed his arms on his sides and unleashed a thin, flowing golden energy to engulf his body, giving him a bright golden outline. Black hair softly billowed against the wind his rising power was creating. Around him, dust and rubble started to levitate, caused by the invisible waves of ki he was emitting. Frieza suddenly became alarmed by this rising energy. Frieza cannot sense power levels, but he knew that something was going on based on what's happening in their surrounding environment. What is this? Frieza gasped in disbelief. Vegeta raised his chin, his psychotic grin widening. His rising energy caused the fallen bodies of Frieza's soldiers and the 7 Dragon Balls to be blown away by the powerful wind his aura was emitting. As the shaking ground began to crumble under his feet, above them the thunder clouds rolled, giving another wave of lightning, just like during Frieza's transformation from earlier. Vegeta watched as Frieza took some steps backwards as he stared at him in confusion. With a single powerful shot, Vegeta's dark eyes glowed jade green as white flashes of electricity snapped off his body and all that surrounded him. His jet black hair flashed green for a second before it started to glow bright gold. That's when Frieza starts to truly become terrified. Gah! Vegeta opened his mouth. Why to release a lengthy roar, and the golden light in his hair burst into sparks, leaving his hair blonde. The earlier thin golden aura that had enveloped him unleashed a thicker, twisting flow of golden energy that completely engulfed him until it flared into a dense, jagged, opaque golden aura that burst forth upwards into the sky. Vegeta lowered his chin to glare at Frieza with his fierce green eyes. Frieza was gaping in terror. Those eyes he could clearly recognize. Those eyes. Those were the same eyes he saw in his visions. The premonition of his own demise. Those eyes filled with hatred and the desire to destroy him. In those eyes he could see the wrath of not one Saiyan but of each and every Saiyan he had mercilessly destroyed along their home planet. And that also includes the outrage and cries for justice of every single life form he had brought to oblivion. That rage-filled legendary golden energy that Vegeta now possessed is the answer they seek, the one who will put an end to his reign of terror. There's no doubt about it. Vegeta had become the legendary Super Saiyan. What are you so frightened of, Frieza? Vegeta asked him, still with that creepy, evil-looking smile of his. Oh yeah, you have no idea, do you, that I am indeed the legendary Super Saiyan. It has been 15 years since I awakened to this legendary power, all thanks to you. You remember? You told me that Beerus-sama ordered you to destroy the Saiyans. I have fought against death itself, wanting nothing but to avenge my pride and my honor from the both of you. You have brought me close to dying, and I crawled out of hell for the sake of exacting my vengeance. The closest one for me to get my revenge on was Beerus. I attacked him. I never felt such intense rage and bloodlust before. My Saiyan blood boiled with the desire to kill and destroy him. I allowed it to overwhelm all that. I failed, and I let my control slip. That's when it happened. The sleeper had awakened. The beast within me unleashed. I was a child back then, and I had a hard time controlling this much power. Bloodlust and primal Saiyan desires within me. It made me into an uncontrollable killing machine. A violent, rage-filled monster with such an insatiable thirst for blood and destruction. It was an intense experience, and I loved it. And to tell you, even Beerus-sama was terrified by what I had become. Although, of course, it wasn't enough for me to beat him. For years, I trained to be able to properly control this overwhelming rage and power, and I managed to do so. However, I won't say you're lucky that you weren't there, because with you standing right in front of me now, I don't think I could control myself any longer. Prepare yourself, Frieza. Vegeta's eyes flashed, with jade green eyes turned red. A sign that the prince is letting his control of himself slip away by allowing his Saiyan instincts to take over. An animalistic growl rumbled through his chest as he pulled his lips away from his bare teeth. Frieza gritted his teeth and tried to return to his calm composure from earlier. He never actually expected Vegeta to be able to become a Super Saiyan. Seems he had no other choice but to transform into that. Thank goodness. All those times I spent training in preparation for your return isn't wasted after all, Frieza said. So I guess I should congratulate you for finally achieving your dream to become a Super Saiyan. But do you honestly think that this is all I have? Vegeta scowled. Hearing Frieza's words, his red eyes returned to its jade green hue as he spoke. Oh, really? You said that you were using your full power earlier, but now you're saying you still have more? Indeed, I'm using the full power of my true form right now, so what I told you wasn't a lie. While my previous transformations are meant to conceal this power, during my training, I have discovered a new transformation that would amplify this power several folds. To be honest, I think it is quite similar to your transformation, because whenever I undergo this change, I am having a hard time controlling myself and my power too, which is why I prefer not to use such a method. Oh, I guess I understand that feeling very well, Vegeta said in amusement. Anyway, why don't you stop talking and start showing me this transformation of yours? You're such a fool as always, Vegeta-san. Whatever. Frieza posed, spreading his arms on his sides, his hands on the level of his hips and palms facing forward, his right leg forward, his left foot behind his right. Behold the true power of the mighty Lord Frieza! Frieza began to roar as his power upped, his earlier light purple aura giving off an orange tint until it turned into a golden brown flame, which abruptly changed into a blinding light. Within the light, Frieza's body underwent its metamorphosis, screaming ceaselessly as he felt his body change and his already massive power rise to even more unbelievable levels. Not far away, Vegeta was shielding his eyes from the blinding light with his left forearm while he struggled to maintain his composure. He could have transformed further into his godly forms too, but he was saving those things for last, until he knew that Frieza is in his full power. When the light exploded and finally dimmed, Frieza appeared to look similar to his previous form, except for the fact that this white skin had turned into shimmering gold. Surprisingly enough, I made this form gold as well, so it would look indestructible. Look at just how it perfectly matches your Super Saiyan power, and I guess I should call this form Golden Frieza. What the hell? Vegeta gasped in disbelief in his thoughts. He already knew that Golden Frieza's power greatly surpasses his own by a long shot, just by sensing his power level. Frieza, finding out Vegeta's shocked reaction, knew he had shaken his stupid pride. What's the matter, Vegeta-san? Where has your earlier confidence gone? Or did you realize that despite your legendary powers as a Super Saiyan, you are no match against me? Vegeta tried to snap himself out of his surprise and desperately held his earlier composure. He snorted loudly. Ha! Don't make me laugh! I've been training under God Destruction for 17 years. Do you honestly think Super Saiyan is all I got? I have the power of a god too. Power of a god? Heh! Whatever. Go ahead and show this god power of yours. I say let us fight in our most powerful forms, Frieza said. I'll show you then. Vegeta transformed to a Super Saiyan Blue before powering up to his bulky, evolved form. Alright. Let's see what. Stand by. Go with that one.
What ultimate power is.
Alright, let's go with this one. Moment. Yep. There we go. We just got this. I'll show you then. Vegeta transformed to a Super Saiyan Blue before powering up to his bulky evolved form. What is this, Super Saiyan with blue hair dye? Frieza asked in mockery of the form's appearance. Vegeta declared, "This is an evolved form of the combined powers of the legendary Super Saiyan and the Super Saiyan God. This is everything I got, Frieza, and it's gonna be over for you." It was a bluff. Vegeta knew that despite being in his most powerful form, this power is still nowhere near that of Golden Frieza's. Still, he believed he has his ace on the secret of a Saiyan's battle instincts and the power of destruction he possessed within him. So he stood his ground and bluffed. Frieza doesn't seem to notice this, but Beerus and Whis did. I honestly didn't expect for Frieza to amass this much power. Perhaps he trained the entire day yesterday, Beerus said. Vegeta's son is being wise not to show his concern, all right? Commented. Yeah, it's the same as what he did with his battle with Topo, Beerus agreed. I wonder how long Frieza will last. Vegeta and Frieza fought an all-out battle in which Frieza had the upper hand. Vegeta struggled to attack at first, forced to take on the Emperor's flurry of potent hits when he was unable to block or dodge them. Frieza was enjoying his obvious victory over the Saiyan. What's the matter, Vegeta-san? Aren't you even going to fight back? It seems you are on a losing ground despite your flashy and colorful transformations. Frieza cackled. Vegeta just laughed back at him as Frieza landed several more blows on him. Frieza couldn't understand what the Saiyan was still able to laugh and smile like that despite being pummeled this way. His behavior is annoying him. Have you finally realized the foolishness you did and you lost your mind knowing that you are about to be destroyed in here instead? Frieza asked. Maybe. Frieza growled, feeling insulted by that crazed laughter Vegeta was giving off. Shut up! Frieza screamed. He attempted to punch Vegeta for a final blow, but the prince caught it this time. Tenacious bastard, Vegeta spat. I told you not to underestimate a Saiyan! He indeed fought back this time by pulling that arm he was grabbing and smashed a headbutt on Frieza's head. This caused the Emperor to stagger backward in pain, and Vegeta used his opportunity to land his own mighty hits against the defenseless Frieza. What the? How is he able to? Frieza wondered in utmost shock as he finds himself being beaten down. How could the tables turn so suddenly? Was Vegeta holding back? That's why he was laughing like that earlier? As if Vegeta heard Frieza's questions in his head, he said, I admit that you were far stronger and faster than I was a few moments ago, Frieza. But, all thanks to you, I am growing more powerful than I could ever imagine throughout our battle. What the hell are you talking about, monkey? Frieza shouted as he threw a punch straight at Vegeta's solar plexus. There's no way that you could have gotten stronger when all you did was to keep on taking damage from all my attacks. Indeed, Frieza, Vegeta told him with a deranged smile as he blocked that punch with both of his hands. Damage is nothing but fuel for me. Do you realize what that means? With every damage I receive from you, I grow exponentially stronger than before. Then I should finish this with this blow. Frieza clawed his hand in the air to use it to impale Vegeta's heart, to finish him off once and for all. As Frieza charged at him, Vegeta grabbed the Emperor's forearm in an attempt to minimize the force behind the attack. However, Frieza was able to thrust his fingers inside Vegeta's chest. This forcefully cancelled Vegeta's transformation, returning him to his base form. Vegeta gagged. Crimson blood spurt out of his mouth. He gritted his teeth together as he shakily stood his ground, coughing more blood through his teeth as he did. Frieza smiled. Some of Vegeta's red blood had spouted into his face, and he gleefully licked at those drops closest to his lips. Just one more push could end Vegeta's life once and all. But to his surprise, he couldn't move his hand any further. He tried to squeeze his fingers, but he also couldn't do it. As a last attempt, he tried to blast Vegeta's chest, but he also couldn't seem to control his energy. Confused and panicking, Frieza pulled his arm off. What the hell is this? He demanded, confused. Vegeta's head slumped forward as he finally let Frieza's forearm go. The astonished Emperor stepped back as soon as he was free. Then he heard Vegeta letting out a wicked chuckle that made the Emperor feel chills through his spine. Again, Really, I could have got these tracks organized, but I'm like, just whatever. We find as most appropriate now. Eagles. Of that, I suppose. Final one. Oh. Properties. Always go to put monitor and output. Boom. Okay, let's go with this. Yes. Yes, this is what I'm waiting for. The trigger I needed all this time. This is it. This feeling. It feels good. I feel so great right now. Yes. Vegeta said this in a deep voice, laughing. Right before the bewildered Frieza's eyes, all of the injuries Vegeta had suffered from the beating he received from the much more powerful Frieza regenerated rapidly. From those wounds appeared deep purple smoke, like aura. It seems to be the inciting trigger of his quick healing. Fingers twitched with the anticipation to destroy as the smoke-like energy grew into a massive cloud of steam that enveloped his form. What is that? Frieza asked himself in concern. He had no idea whatever was happening to Vegeta at all, or even sense just what kind of power Vegeta is amassing right now. But somehow, he could tell this wasn't good for him at all. Vegeta lifted his head to gaze at Frieza with a psychotic look upon his bloodshot and glowing magenta eyes. He let out a loud, shallow breath, as if he was trying to calm himself and contain the building excitement he was feeling right now. Yes! Yes, I can feel it! The blood of the Saiyan warrior race boiling through my veins, burning inside of me, he grinned, his deranged look growing crazier. Then he let out a dark chuckle. My heart's pounding with excitement. My ki is rising. It feels so good, so overwhelming. As if he was saying these mad words, his aura continuously built up, growing larger. His body began to shake along with the strong rhythm of his heartbeat, as if he was about to transform into his Ozaru form. He started to groan as he felt his power continue to grow at a rapid pace. Not far behind the battlefield, Beerus let out a satisfied grin, knowing what was about to happen to his protege. Finally, he's waking up. Peter braced himself as he flexed his arms on his sides and clenched his hands into shaking tight fists. And then he began to let out a powerful roar. The smoke rising from Vegeta burst into deep purple flames that blazed upwards like a twisting pillar of fire. Vegeta's screams within the fire reverberated for miles, along with the monstrous roar of a rampaging Ozaru, which the fire slowly began to take form into. At the sight of the massive great monkey beast that represented the burning, fighting spirit and destructive instinct of the Saiyan Prince, burning within that inferno of pure destructive power, Frieza staggered backward in horror. Frieza knew that if this went on, there would be hell for him to pay. He pointed his right index finger into the flames and started to shoot rapid, deadly red ki beams at it. However, much to his astonishment, once they made contact with the blazing flames of Vegeta's ominous aura, they become completely nullified, turned into sparks of nothingness. What is going on? Frieza asked himself once more, anxious about the scene happening right before his eyes. He'd never seen anyone who could completely nullify all of his attacks that way, and with just their aura. A blood-curdling roar of a rampaging Ozaru was heard, echoing boisterously through the air. The beast had finally been unleashed. As it roared its declaration of freedom, Vegeta's screams below, it grew louder than before. His body began to transform to accommodate the sheer amount of destructive godly Saiyan power waking up within him. The prince's agonized cries could be heard from the blazing purple aura. The temperature around him suddenly rose. The air became increasingly hot. Suddenly it began to blow away the surrounding trees and even his 3 spectators. Vegeta's screams slowly died down to groans of pain and pleasure due to the power he could feel flowing through him. As his breathing finally slowed, his body's transformation finished and the aura slowly dissipated like balloon candlelight, healing all of his injuries and revealing a new form for the Prince of all Saiyans. His jet black hair had turned Byzantium in color, with plum purple highlights that was spikier, longer than his usual flame-shaped hairstyle. The spikes of hair on the lower back of his head were pushed down slightly to his nape instead of them pointing upwards like the rest of his hair. His brow ridges noticeably became prominent, bulging outwards. The thick, slanted eyebrows had disappeared completely. His purplish red eyes held a bloodshot gaze that wanted to see fire and destruction around him. His teeth had grown sharper on the canines. This transformation made Vegeta's already fearsome air become more malevolent looking and even more dangerous. He looked like his demonic monkey beast, form condensed in a more humanoid form. His facial features alone were monkey-like, perhaps a manifestation of his Saiyan primal instinct unleashed. With a long sigh, Vegeta let out the breath he was holding back. He looked down at his trembling fingers, making sure he was still in total control of his body's thoughts and actions, not completely allowing himself to be overtaken by the cause of his primal Saiyan desire. The Saiyan Prince's power of destruction has finally awakened. What is this? What did you do to yourself? Frieza asked Vegeta, stuttering. For some reason, even though he cannot sense the key of the gods, Frieza could tell that this new power Vegeta just unleashed was similar to that of Beerus'. Vegeta's magenta eyes rose to gaze at him, intimidating, and he let out a crazy smile. You see, Frieza, you aren't dealing with an ordinary Saiyan mortal any longer, he said with a cold tone. His voice was deeper, colder, resembling a low animal growl. It sounded like he was trying his best to control himself from completely turning into the monster he actually was. His thirst for blood and animalistic rage seething in his tone. The god of destruction told me that power driven solely by one's instinct to destroy is limitless. The only thing I need is to gratify myself with what my Saiyan blood truly wants. That's why so long as I keep on fighting, the more my fighting spirit burns and my Saiyan blood boils, the more powerful I become. Secret self-indulgence. And because this satisfies my self-ego, you may call this new power as Ultra Ego. Ultra what? Before Frieza could even laugh the silly name Vegeta just named his new form, the prince crossed his arms in front of his face. His fingers curled with a wave of his arms. He slashed through the air, creating a powerful burst of wind, combined with his flaming aura that pushed Frieza back. And before Frieza could even realize what Vegeta just did, he was sent barreling forward by a powerful hit on his thigh. Soon, he could feel every bone of his break without even knowing what was happening at all. Vegeta was moving too fast for him to react and was completely helpless to fight back. When the attacks thankfully halted, Frieza hit the ground completely beaten and back to his original form of a sleek white and purple lizard. Vegeta appeared right before Frieza, nearly making him jump as if he just had the biggest jump scare of his life. After all, Vegeta's face in that Ultra Ego form of his was terrifying enough to cause unnecessary fear to anyone who would look at it, the face of a monster. So, how does it feel to be humiliated by a Saiyan, Frieza? Vegeta asked this. Frieza staggered back away from the Saiyan. He stumbled and fell into his behind. This is impossible. I'm the great and mighty Emperor of the universe. For me to lose to a lowly Saiyan monkey is unacceptable. Frieza furiously ranted this in denial as he punched the ground with his fist. He glared up at Vegeta and cursed him. You cheated on me. You just received this power from Beerus-sama, and you go on bragging about this power as if it is your own. Did I say that? Vegeta asked him. No, Frieza. This power is purely my own. Our battle has awakened this power within me for the first time. I only asked Beerus to teach me how I could attain the power of destruction on my own, and he told me that being a Saiyan, I have latent powers of destruction within me. If I allowed myself to gratify my primal needs as a Saiyan, I would have unbounded destructive power. With little guidance from him, I was able to learn the basics about the powers of the God of Destruction, and I trained for an entire year to properly control it. However, I wasn't satisfied by the results at all. Yes, I have grown stronger than before, but this still isn't the power I wanted for myself. I felt different. That's why I pretended that I was confident to defeat you, and told Beerus that I will fight you. They didn't know I was using this opportunity to explore more about my powers of destruction and its connection to my Saiyan blood. So here we are. I told you that me being a Saiyan is the reason why Beerus chose me over you. Now you can see the reason why. Frieza was trembling in his anger and his hate. Despite Vegeta's words, he still felt it was unfair for him that Vegeta always had Beerus' side and favor throughout these years. He hated Beerus for playing around with his fate or using his fear against him, for choosing to betray him like this. He hated Vegeta for humiliating him, for beating him down, for being unfair. And for this, they will all die, along with this damn planet. Frieza shakily rose from the ground, panting heavily. He had lost a considerable amount of power throughout the beatdown, but he's confident he still have enough energy left to blow this damn planet up for good. Oh boy. Useless. That one. Always with the damn problems. Alright, then. He was levitating off the ground until he was up in the sky. Vegeta simply watched at him, thinking about what Frieza was planning to do. He could tell his desperation, so he made a guess. He confirmed that his guess was correct. After all, when Frieza raised a finger above him and formed a small fireball of ki, it gradually grew into a massive spear of devastating energy. Frieza started to laugh maniacally. You may have defeated me in this battle, Vegeta-san, but no matter how powerful you have become, there's no way you could stop this. Vegeta simply smiled at him. You're still smiling, huh? Let's see you smile when I tell you that this is the same but more intense attack that used to destroy your precious home world, Saiyan. It's a pity that you weren't there to see just how beautiful Planet Vegeta's fireworks were when it exploded. If only you have heard your people's cries and screams as they all fell into their doom. If only you have seen how your cowardly father met his end. Every single one of them didn't take much out of me to eliminate. You may have been the strongest among them all, but despite all the power you have right now, alone you are nothing to me. You will meet the same fate as the rest of your monkey people and your planet, Vegeta-san. How fitting that you share the same name as your doomed world. This is going to be your end. Frieza hurled the spear he called a supernova for having enough power to end entire worlds towards Vegeta, who simply stared at the upcoming attack with his reddish-purple eyes. In his mind, he remembered this attack well. During one of his childhood days back when he was planning and trying to assassinate Frieza. He was 6, but a few days before he turned 7 years old. He saw Frieza use the same energy ball when he exploded the entire world of those who tried to rebel against him in unity. Vegeta recalled just how frightened he was upon realizing that the monstrous power Frieza possessed was light years ahead of him, and how completely outclassed he was due to the seemingly impossible gap between their powers. It only solidified his suspicions about Frieza being the one who destroyed the Saiyans and Planet Vegeta. He kept his mouth shut back then, for he knew how powerless he was against the mighty tyrant. But it was there he realized one thing. Frieza was a damn coward. Frieza was cackling maniacally as he watched Vegeta be swallowed by his attack as he descended on the crust of the planet Namek. Damn, Frieza! He really planned to destroy this planet? Beerus growled. Both him and Whis stood calmly against the cataclysm wind caused by Frieza's supernova as it continued to push downwards. Just because he can't breathe and survive the vacuum of space doesn't mean he could do whatever he wants when he gets mad. Perhaps Frieza had stopped caring about the Dragon Balls any longer and chose to destroy this planet out of his desperation, Whis told him. Oh, I'm glad I didn't choose a coward like him to be my successor. Frieza's villainous laughter eventually turned into a loud gasp when he realized that his supernova was being lifted from the core. Below it, Vegeta single-handedly raised the attack. It was a mere sack of feathers. Well. You're just a damn coward, Frieza, Vegeta told him calmly. Whenever you are faced with your inevitable defeat, or when you are afraid of something, you would resort to this tactic. You have told me that you never feared me, for I am a lone Saiyan. As I am a single man, you have greatly underestimated me despite all my abilities. You said you were more afraid of the Saiyan unity, for aside from myself, you knew that several other Saiyans were growing stronger than you had expected. You feared that once my father or I led the rebellion against you, you would utterly be defeated and be overthrown. You did this not only with the Saiyans, but with every single race who planned an uprising against your rule. You highly believe that you are the most powerful being in the universe. You always cower in the face of defeat. terrifying being overpowered and usurped from your seemingly glorious position. If there is something I have learned from all of these, is that everything you have in this world is only temporary. Everything can be stripped away from you at any given moment. Being the strongest, it only reflects a moment of time. For example, a few moments ago, you are indeed the mightiest mortal in this universe, but now I am more powerful than you. Frieza was instantly in denial, unable to accept this unexpected outcome. In his desperation, he charged his remaining energy to fire a blast towards the supernova, causing it to detonate. Frieza was unable to laugh this time as he felt something hit him, a punch he was unable to anticipate at all. The force between the unexpected attack sent him plummeting back to the ground. Vegeta teleported right in front of him, causing Frieza, who was trying his best to stand up, to fall on his knees and tremble in terror. He knew he's done for, so he started begging for his life. Oh yeah, Frieza voice, I try to be careful not to bloody get across with bloody Jacko, And then sometimes I try to make it sound German for some reason. I don't know. There's... Okay, moving on. But Vegeta was unfazed by his pleas. Look at yourself, Frieza. I see nothing but fear in your eyes, he said. You're so frightened in front of me right now because I've become more powerful than you. How pitiful. For you to fall to your knees and cower in front of the very Saiyan you have insulted so many times and look down at those damn eyes of yours. You've destroyed my people because you feared our unity. Yet, here you are, utterly defeated by a lone Saiyan warrior, the prince of all Saiyans. You've destroyed my people, made me suffer, cut off my tail, and now you dare beg me to spare your life? When I pleaded you not to cut my tail off, did you hear my pleas? You never did. You cut my tail off thinking that by doing it you have removed the one thing that made me a Saiyan. You are wrong, Frieza. True identity of a Saiyan isn't about his tail. It's in our blood, our pride, and our fighting spirit. You feared the Saiyans uniting against you. You destroyed them because of this fear. Yet you forgot that you left their future king alive. Apparently you haven't realized it yet, but as the crown prince of my people, I carry in me the glory of the Saiyan race. Let me demonstrate what I mean by showing you the very thing that you were so afraid of. Using his spirit control powers, Vegeta summoned forth the spirits of his fallen people, and from their spiritual energies combined them to form a giant mass of energy in the shape of the Ozaru. Frieza recoiled in his terror within that holographic demonic monkey monster. He could see the spirits of every single Saiyan united by the godly power of their crown prince. Yes, he could now be the king amassed. Whoa, that is sick. And now let's... Okay. Ah.
You also
Iron Fire, Prince of Agony. In the center of the beast made of ki, Vegeta raised his right arm, hand forward in Frieza's direction. A rotten, cowardly bastard like yourself doesn't deserve to exist in this universe. This is the end for you, Frieza. Now that Vegeta was sure has completely broken Frieza's fighting spirit with his terror, he knew it is time for him to destroy the tyrant's pitiful existence. Beerus did warn Vegeta about the possibilities of Frieza resisting the power of destruction, just as how he did during his battle against Toppo. However, Vegeta knew the secret behind that resistance. He was able to nullify the power of destruction because of his indomitable burning fighting spirit in combination with his own power of destruction. This is how Vegeta knew that if he breaks Frieza's spirit, he won't be able to resist being destroyed by him. Frieza felt something within him pulse as Vegeta made contact with his soul. Before he could even wonder what was going on, Vegeta commanded in a cold but imperious voice, "Destruction!" Frieza's body flashed a purple light, and he let out an agonized scream as he slowly turned into purple sparks until there was nothing left. And just like that, Frieza and his reign of terror was forgotten by the entire universe. The Galactic Empire was no more, and all planets invaded and under the control of the once great Frieza force were free from his iron rule. The universe will finally become a more peaceful place to live. While Vegeta's vengeance was finally satisfied, he wasn't happy thinking about the results of Frieza ceasing to exist at all. In his younger days, he planned to overthrow Frieza and replace him as the new ruler of the universe, not bringing peace to this damn universe at all. He imagined that he could be more ruthless and stricter than Frieza ever was. Then, Vegeta powered down to his base form, and he turned around to see Whis and Beerus approaching him like a pair of ecstatic interviewers after a big boxing fight. "Congratulations on your victory, Vegeta-san," Whis greeted him cheerfully, applauding his performance in battle. "So, how does it feel to finally satisfy your desire for your revenge, Vegeta?" Beerus asked him. Vegeta simply shrugged his shoulders. I don't know," he said with a lukewarm tone. "I hated Frieza, yes, and all my life I've trained for this day, for me to be able to avenge myself and my people from that bastard. The battle was satisfying. The look of terror in his eyes and the sight of his broken fighting spirit made me believe that I was glad to see it. Yes, it was gratifying to see him suffer, to pay for all those things he had done to me and my people, the others as well. I believe he got what he deserved in the end, and he paid for it with his existence. Him gone for good, this universe will be at peace. Finally, I'm the most powerful mortal in the entire universe. I have everything I have ever wanted in life. So, are you satisfied now?" "No." "Why? Did you regret destroying Frieza?" "No." "Why aren't you satisfied at all?" Vegeta hesitated to respond at first, but he shook his head and replied, "Because of our contract. Now that I have gotten what I want, it's time for me to fulfill my part soon. You know exactly how I feel about the idea." Despite getting a taste of the power of God of Destruction, you still aren't sure about becoming the universe's next God of Destruction. Yes, I don't think I will ever change my mind about giving up my sane mortal life. I love being who and what I am, and will never throw everything I am to become like you. I realized it when I saw Frieza wanting to become an immortal using those Dragon Balls earlier. "I see. Beerus, I see, Beerus said with an understanding. He turned to his guide angel and called his attention. Beerus? Yes, my lord. You do know how to summon Porunga from these Dragon Balls, right? Yes, I do. Beerus turned to Vegeta and ordered him. Go and recollect the Dragon Balls for me, Vegeta. I will have to make a wish. Thanks. Okay, we'll just read the summary. Guilt is something Beerus had never felt since he became the god of destruction. But after he met the same Prince Vegeta for the first time, he felt bad for what he did to him. And because of this, Beerus planned to set Vegeta free using the 7 Dragon Balls so the prince could live as the Saiyan he is and fulfill his destiny to become the ruler he was meant to be. However, a massive key unexpectedly appeared in their universe, and its owner's arrival would force Beerus and Vegeta to choose their fate. This is part 10 of Vegeta's backstory, telling Vegeta's ascension to becoming the most dangerous deity of death and destruction of Universe 7. And with that, we shall call it a princely day, per se. Yeah, you enjoyed it? Potentially we'll carry this on forward to tomorrow itself. So yeah, by all means, of course, like if it pleased you. Subscribe if you dare desire for more, yada yada yada. Turn all this crap off, yeah. And then that's it. Have a good night. And those who I know, I will talk to you later or momentarily. Ta-ta!
目を閉じるな今受けて立つ恐怖を解き放て戦いの後に残されるのは虚しさと知ってても Get a chance 俺がぶち切りそうさ極限超えのエナジー炸裂スーパードラゴンソウル熱い奇跡を起こせ宇宙のパワー高めてゆけ魂の正義を じたぜスーパードラゴンソウル大地切り裂いてゆく戦うたびに強くなるぜ炸裂スーパードラゴンソウル熱い奇跡を起こせ宇宙のパワー高めてゆけ